Today on General Hospital, Ms. Wu makes Curtis an offer, which Marshall rejects on his son's behalf. Willow gets good news, and Betty presents the goods on Sonny and Pikeman to Mason and Austin. At the Metro Court pool, Ava meets with Trina and asks how Curtis is doing. Trina updates her on his condition, and that they are praying he regains the use of his legs. Ava asks what she's doing before school starts, and if the Chuck offered her a position. Trina says they did, but she turned it down. She was hoping to come back to Ava's gallery, especially with what's going on in her personal life and being able to set her own hours there. Ava says she's always welcome at her gallery. From the pool, Spencer, holding Ace, yells, "Hey Trina, you want to join us?" Ava notes how good Spencer is with Ace. Trina says Ava should see him at home, and how great Spencer is taking care of his little brother. Ava assumes that means Spencer is spending a lot of time with Esme, which must be uncomfortable. Nana arrives and finds Trina with Ava. She tells Trina she heard about Curtis being moved to rehab and knows he'll get better. Trina thanks Nana and excuses herself to join the cute baby in the pool. Nina sits and asks Ava why they needed to meet to celebrate. Nina says they are celebrating the end of her nightmare. Nina asks Ava what nightmare she's referring to. She assumes this is what she walked in on in Sonny's office with the two of them. Ava doesn't want to burden her with the details, but Nina says she's marrying Sonny. Ava says unless the SEC tip comes out. Nana calls her out on deflecting and says when she finally wants to tell her what's going on, that she knows where to find her. Nina takes off. As Spencer and Trina play with Ace, Esme appears and watches them from a distance. Trina admits she's worried for her mom. Spencer suggests she go spend time with her mom, and just be there for her if nothing else. Trina says he gives good advice for a boy. They kiss and Trina takes off. Once Trina leaves, Esme heads over and says Spencer and Ace look like they are having fun. She saw his texts and hoped they'd still be here. She reveals her bathing suit and asks Ace if he wants to take a swim with Mommy. In her office, Portia looks at her wedding photo and cries. Marshall drops by and hates to bother her. But there is a problem with the Savoy. The bartender says there's way too much work to do, and she can't do it all and is overwhelmed. Marshall says they can't just hire any manager, as Curtis was the heart and soul of the place. Portia knows Curtis was the Savoy, and Marshall says they have to keep it alive for him. At the rehab facility, Curtis feels defeated that he can't lift himself from his chair as he did yesterday. Roy refuses to let him give up. Solana spies from the doorway. Eventually, Roy orders Curtis to stop overexerting himself with a set of dumbbells, as he could do more damage than good. He says they need to take a break, and then they'll hit the resistance bands. Roy excuses himself, and Selena enters. Selena offers Curtis her deepest sympathy. He asks why she's here, and she says at times like this they need their friends. Stunned, Curtis replies, "Who says we're friends?" She says of course they are friends, but if he doesn't think of her as one, she hopes he continues to think of her as a business partner. She's prepared to make an offer on the Savoy. Marshall appears and says, "Over my dead body." Marshall says Curtis' family will take over the running of the club until he's back. Selena warns Marshall that running a club isn't for the faint of heart, so keep her offer in mind. Selena leaves and Curtis tells his dad that he can handle Selena. Marshall apologizes for overstepping, and he's going to help him keep that club going until he can come back. Curtis says there is a lot he doesn't know, and it's complicated. Marshall feels this is his way of paying him back for giving him a family. Roy returns for round 2, and Marshall excuses himself to get out of their way. Michael and Willow arrive at the hospital for a checkup and run into Austin. As they talk, Michael spots Dex in the background lurking. Austin is glad to see how Willow is doing well and says he won't keep them. Austin walks off, and Michael notes Dex follows. Willow tells Michael how for once she's not nervous about her checkup, and she knows she'll get only good news. As Willow meets with Terry, Michael corners Dex about following Austin. Dex admits it's a job for Sonny. Michael wants to know what kind of job. Austin heads to his office and Betty walks in. She shows him the flash drive, which he is clueless about. Mason soon shows up, and he's trailed to Austin's office by Dex. Betty says she has the Pikeman goods for him. Dex listens at the door as Austin says he has done everything he's been asked of and he's out. Mason says he isn't out until the boss says he's out. Back in her office, Portia researches wheelchairs and home improvements. Trina stops by with some coffee and thought she could use the company. She sees what her mom is looking at on her computer, and the costs attached. Portia is glad she stopped by and says this is what she needed. Trina says it was Spencer who pushed her to come to check on her, but the coffee was her idea. Portia explains says she's ordered almost everything Curtis will need and has the company coming out to make sure everything is ready for him. Trina says that there's more than just installing ramps to Curtis' recovery. Portia knows this won't be easy, but the first step is getting Curtis home. Willow locates Michael wandering the halls and waiting and gives him the good news that she can get out in public, but it will be some time before she can travel and attend big concerts. He's happy she got a good report and suggests they go celebrate. Back at the Metro Court pool, Esmond, Ace, and Spencer all play in the pool as Ava continues to drink and watches them. Michael and Willow appear, and Ava says they just missed Nina. Michael comments, "Lucky us." Ava hopes they give Nana a chance, and Willow she has been trying with Nina. Ava declares it's better to spread love, and that life is good. Sam meets with Cody at the coffee bistro. Cody needs her help and believes Sasha is in danger and they have to do something. Cody details sneaking in to see Sasha, how out of it she was, and how she freaked out and thought he was there to kill her. Cody is sure she's being drugged, and he needs Sam's help to prove it. Cody runs down all the events that led up to her breakdown, including wanting to end Gladys' guardianship. Sam says they still need proof, so Cody storms off to find it. Gladys talks to Dante at the station and claims it is an emergency. She needs a restraining order to keep Cody away from Sasha. Dante asks her to take a seat and detail what happened to him. Gladys explains Cody snuck into Ferncliff and visited Sasha and made her worse. Mac shows up and learns Gladys wants to file a restraining order against Cody. Mac tells her that Officer Robinson will handle the paperwork. Mac asks Dante what kind of trouble Cody is causing now. Dante wants to hear Cody's side first, and whatever Gladys says must be taken with a grain of salt. He says Cody cares about Sasha and he means her no harm. Mac gets it and details his own history with Dominique and Leopold, including trying to rescue her from a mental institution. Dante thinks back to Cody, revealing to him that Mac is his father. Later, Cody storms into the station and begins screaming at Dante, as Mac stands there, that he needs to do his job and help Sasha. Gladys rushes over, hands him the restraining order, and gloats. Cody lashes out that Gladys is the one who belongs in Ferncliff, and she doesn't care about Sasha. He yells she just wants her out of the way to control her money, and taunts that he knows why. He suggests it's time Gladys feels trapped and helpless and lunges at her. Dante and another officer restrain him, and drag Cody into the interrogation room as he screams at Gladys, "I'll see to it that you pay." Gladys tells Mac that she wants Cody arrested. Mac says arresting Cody will mean taking down Cody's accusations against her, and they'll have to investigate them. He asks if that is what she wants. Gladys says, "You win," but she expects the restraining order enforced. She storms off. Mac heads into the interrogation room and tells Cody how lucky he was, and that he was inches away from going to jail. Dante asks his friend what is going on. At Ferncliff, Mandy checks on Sasha and asks what she's been taking, but Sasha says she doesn't know, something they are giving her. Dr. Montague arrives and asks if there is a problem. Mandy says Sasha's behaviors don't track with her medications. She ordered a blood test as she thinks Sasha is getting non-prescribed meds. Dr. Montague thanks her for being diligent, but he needs to be consulted on any tests as Sasha is very fragile right now. He tells her about Sasha's breakdown the other day, but Mandy says her symptoms of psychosis aren't matching what appears to be a drugged state. She'll make sure he gets a copy of the blood work, but he insists he'll get them himself. Mandy leaves, and alone Sasha asks why she feels this way. Dr. Montague accuses her of still taking illegal drugs somehow. She refuses to believe that and says she's being given something. He says she has a problem, and they'll get her help. Nurse Janice arrives having been called, and Dr. Montague says they have a problem. He says Sasha has been getting drugs smuggled in, and he asks who is assigned to her case. Janice says it's Mandy Green, who is one of their best. He wants her taken off the case as a precaution. Later, Mandy talks to Janice about being pulled from Sasha's case. Janice says not to take it personally. These visiting psychiatrists all think they can run the place better than they can. Meanwhile, Montague drugs Sasha again. Dr. Montague exits Sasha's room, thanks Janice for taking care of their problem, and walks off. Janice heads in to check on Sasha as Sam appears. She listens at the door as Sasha screams at Janice to stay away from her and to leave her alone.